Hello world! Welcome to our first ever Hack the Site walkthrough video. In this video, we'll be walking through all the basic levels. Let's get into it. Let's start off with Basic 1. Basic test of your skills to see if you can do any of these missions. Requirements HTML. Let's go ahead and open up Basic 1. This level is what we call the idiot test. If you can't complete it, don't give up on learning all you can. But don't go begging to someone else for the answer. That's one way to get you hated or made fun of. Enter the password and you can continue. Alright, so for this one, all we're going to do is right click view page source, or you can do Control U on your keyboard. You're going to scroll down to where it has our challenge description, and you're going to see our password here in an HTML comment. The comment says, the first few levels are extremely easy. Password is this number. So we'll copy this number, paste it into our password submission here, and submit. We see that we get a congrats message whenever we solve the challenge, so that lets us know if we actually got the right password. Let's move on to Basic 2, a slightly more difficult challenge involving an incomplete password script. Requirements, common sense. Let's go ahead and open up Basic 2. Network Security Sam set up a password protection script. He made it load the real password from an unencrypted text file and compared it to the password the user enters. However, he neglected to upload the password file. Well, if he has a password protection script and it's pulling the real password from a text file to compare it to our input, and that password file doesn't exist, then that means there's no password to compare to. So the only password that it would accept is an empty password, because you're comparing something empty to something empty. So if we just simply submit the password as is with no password, we get our congrats message. Let's move on to Basic 3. Some intuition is needed to find the location of the hidden password file. Requirements, basic HTML knowledge. Let's open up Basic 3. This time Network Security Sam remembered to upload the password file, but there were deeper problems than that. So for this one, what we're going to do is open up the page source again. We're going to scroll down to where our challenge description is, and you're going to notice that there's a hidden file here called password.php. Well, what happens when we navigate to that file? We get our password here in plain text. So the purpose this file served was clearly the password file that Sam forgot to upload. He just didn't put the proper permissions on this file so that we wouldn't be able to read it or navigate to it in our browser. So we'll copy that and we'll submit it as our password. We get our congrats message. Let's move on to Basic 4. An email script has been set up, which sends the password to the administrator. Requirements, HTML knowledge, and email address. Let's open up Basic 4. This time Sam hard-coded the password into the script. However, the password is long and complex, and Sam is often forgetful. So he wrote a script that would email his password to him automatically in case he forgot. Here is the script. Alright, we have a button here that says send password to Sam. If we inspect that button, we can see a hidden value here that contains Sam's email. If we were to change this email to an email address that we can access, and I'm going to use a fake one here, and then we click send password to Sam, it's actually going to read whatever we have in this value here on the front end into the back end, and then send the email to whatever address we filled into this value here. So if you click send password to Sam, you're going to get an email that looks something like this. And it's just going to be an email from sam@hackthisite.org, and it's going to have your password in the body. So all you need to do is take that password from the body and paste it into the password submission here and click submit. You can see that we get our congrats message. Let's move on to Basic 5. Similar to the previous challenge, but with some extra security measures in place. Requirements, HTML knowledge, JS or FF, and email address. Let's open up Basic 5. Sam has gotten wise to all the people who wrote their own forms to get the password. Rather than actually learn the password, he decided to make his email program a little more secure. So there's actually no difference between solving this level and the previous level. I don't know if at some point they were different in nature, but currently the way the challenge is set up is the exact same way that level 4 was set up. So if we were to inspect this button, you're going to see that same hidden value here. You're going to change that value to an email address that you can access. Then you're going to click send password to Sam. And then you're going to get another email that's pretty much the exact same email as the one from level 4, only with a different password in the body. Specifically the password for this challenge. So you're going to copy that password out from your email and paste it here and submit. You can see that we get our congrats message. Let's move on to basic 6. An encryption system has been set up, which uses an unknown algorithm to change the given text. Requirements: persistence, some general cryptography knowledge. Let's open up basic 6. Network Security Sam has encrypted his password. The encryption system is publicly available and can be accessed with this form. Please enter a string to have it encrypted. You have recovered his encrypted password. It is 7DD66J9 ? Decrypt the password and enter it below to advance to the next level. Alright, so for this one, what we're going to do is we're going to simply encrypt the encrypted password that they gave us here, and then work backwards from that to figure out what the encryption algorithm is. So we're going to click encrypt, and we're going to copy this out to a text document. And then we're going to go back and copy our original encrypted password to our text document. Like so. And now we can figure out what's going on with this encryption algorithm. As you can see, our first character remains the same, it's a 7. And then D goes to E, so that's +1 character. D goes to F, that's +2 characters, right? D, E, F. 6 goes to 9, which is 3 characters. And then so on and so forth. Now we need to work backwards from this, and we can use an ASCII table to kind of assist us in doing so. So, if we start with 7, we know that remains the same. D minus 1 character would be C. D minus 2 characters would be B. 6 minus 3 characters would be 3. 6 minus 4 characters would be 2. J minus 5 characters would be I, H, G, F, E. So that would be E. 9 minus 6 characters would be 3. And question mark minus 7 characters would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this should be our password. And we can verify that by re-encrypting it. And the encrypted version of this should match this encrypted password right here. And we can see that it indeed does. So we'll go back and we'll paste our decrypted password into the password submission here and click submit. And we get our congrats message. Let's move on to basic 7. The password is hidden in an unknown file, and Sam has set up a script to display a calendar. Requirements: basic Unix command knowledge. Let's open up basic 7. This time, Network Security Sam has saved the unencrypted level 7 password in an obscurely named file saved in this very directory. In other unrelated news, Sam has set up a script that returns the output from the Unix cal command. Here is the script. Okay, let's try putting in a year here. And it just prints out the entire calendar year for 2025. What if we tried to put in some jargon text? Nothing happens. Okay, so from what we know from the description, it's running the Unix cal command. And the original level description here says we need basic Unix command knowledge. That makes me think that it's probably alluding to a command injection. And we could test that very easily by doing semicolon ls. Now the reason why I'm doing this is because if it's running the cal command, it's going to take our input, put a semicolon, which is going to end that command, and then it's going to run whatever command we put after it. That's how Linux works if you're trying to put multiple commands in one line. Each command is separated by a semicolon. Now we also have to assume that there's some sort of function or whatever on the back end that's evaluating this Linux command, right? So we don't actually have access to the script, but we can kind of make an assumption that since this is a basic challenge, that it's probably a basic command injection. So we're going to click view here, and you can see that we have our entire directory listing here. The file we're interested in is this random one right here, and what we're going to do is navigate to that up here, and we get our password for this challenge. So we'll go ahead and submit that. and we get our congrats message. Let's move on to Basic 8. The password is yet again hidden in an unknown file. Sam's daughter has begun learning PHP and has a small script to demonstrate her knowledge. Requirements: knowledge of SSI, dynamic HTML executed by the server rather than the browser. Let's open up Basic 8. Sam remains confident that an obscured password file is still the best idea, but he screwed up with the calendar program. Sam has saved the unencrypted password file in var www.hackthisite.org HTML missions basic 8. However, Sam's young daughter Stephanie has just learned to program in PHP. She's talented for her age, but she knows nothing about security. She recently learned about saving files, and she wrote a script to demonstrate her ability. It says enter your name and submit. Let's go ahead and try that out. Your file has been saved. Please click here to view the file. If we click here, we see a message that says, hi, whatever name we entered, your name contains 9 characters. So it's pretty much just reading the length of whatever name we put in and then spitting that back out to the screen. And it's storing that output in an shtml file in this temp directory right here. Well, shtml is a different kind of HTML file. If we were to look up shtml, we see that it's just an extension of HTML that allows the inclusion of dynamic content on web pages. Now, what if we were to look up shtml exploit? We can see that an shtml file can be vulnerable to an SSI injection or a server-side includes injection. If we go back to the original description of this level, we can see that in the requirements, we need to have knowledge of SSI, which is exactly what we have here. So if we go back to our submission here, and we scroll down on this OWASP webpage, we can actually see some examples of how SSI can be exploited. We see we have a very simple HTML comment here that is trying to execute bash commands on the back end. So we're going to copy that and paste that exact HTML code here and click submit. Then we're going to click here to view our file, and we can see a listing of our current directory. Now this isn't the directory we want. The directory we want is this one right here. So what we can do is we can simply modify our injection here to LSing the parent directory by doing ... What this is simply going to do is it's going to reference one directory up from us and list that directory out. So now if we submit it and we click here, we see that we have our actual basic 8 directory listing that we wanted to look at anyways. We see that we have an interesting named PHP file right here. So we're going to copy that and paste that up here. And there's our password for this challenge. So we'll go ahead and submit that. And we get our congrats message. Let's move on to Basic 9. The password is again hidden in an unknown file. However, the script that was previously used to find it has some limitations. Requirements: knowledge of SSI, Unix directory structure. Let's go ahead and open up Basic 9. Network Security Sam is going down with the ship. He's determined to keep obscuring the password file no matter how many times people manage to recover it. This time the file is saved in var www.hackthisite.org HTML missions basic 9. In the last level, however, in my attempt to limit people to using server-side includes to display the directory listing to level 8 only, I have mistakenly screwed up somewhere. There's a way to get the obscured level 9 password. See if you can figure out how. This level seems a lot trickier than it actually is, and it helps to have an understanding of how the script validates the user's input. The script finds the first occurrence of this and looks to see what follows directly after it. As you can see here, there's no way for us to actually input any sort of injection, right? If we go back to the challenge pre-description, we can see that this is going to be another SSI challenge. So how can we go about exploiting this? Well, we can simply use Basic 8's user input to exploit Basic 9. And we're going to do the same thing we did before with Basic 8, but instead of going to Basic 8's directory, we're going to go to Basic 9's challenge directory. So we're going to open up Basic 8. And we're going to take our exploit from the last challenge, paste it here. We're going to do ... one directory up, which would be Basic 8. Another directory up would be the parent directory for all the levels. And then we're going to go to simply 9, right? Because that's how the URLs are structured. If we click submit, and then click here, we can see our directory listing for Basic 9's directory. If we copy this interestingly named PHP file right here and paste it into our Basic 9 URL address up here, we get our password for Basic 9. So we'll go ahead and submit that, and we get our congrats message. Let's move on to Basic 10. This time Sam used a more temporary and hidden approach to authenticating users, but he didn't think about whether or not those users knew their way around JavaScript. Let's go ahead and open up Basic 10. Please enter a password to gain access to level 10. We don't have any other information but that. What you want to do is you want to check your cookies. I installed a plugin called Cookie Editor for Firefox. You can very easily get this from Firefox's extension page and then just add it to Firefox. And you're going to notice that there's this level 10 underscore authorized cookie. All you need to do is change the value here to yes, right? Because yes is the opposite of no. Save it, and then you can either click submit or just refresh the page, and it should just authenticate you. As you can see, we get our congrats message. Now let's move on to our final basic challenge, Basic 11. Sam decided to make a music site. Unfortunately, he does not understand Apache. This mission is a bit harder than the other basics. Let's open up Basic 11, and we can see a message that says, I love music, Benny and the Jets is the best. If we refresh the page, we're going to see that there's multiple songs being listed. If we look up these songs, we can see that this song in particular, Come Down in Time, is a song written by Elton John. If we refresh the page, you're going to get another song. If you look that song up as well, it's another song by Elton John. So this is pretty much just printing out a bunch of songs by Elton John. Well, what does that mean? Well, we don't have much else to go off of. If we view the source, it says, we even have our own collection if you could find it. That's kind of alluding to maybe we need to do some sort of directory traversal or web crawling. Now, you could use a web crawler to do this one, but there's also a little bit of logical guesswork involved here that you could also do. Well, if all these songs are by Elton John, what if we were to navigate to, say, like an Elton directory? Okay, that doesn't exist. What if we were to navigate to the first letter of his name? Now we have a directory structure. We see that our next directory is L, T, O, N for Elton. Now, this is something you could have guessed if you were just trying things out. Obviously, a potentially more efficient way to do it would be web crawling, but since these are basic challenges, we're going to look at these from a basic lens. We're going to look at this from more of a logical riddle solving aspect, and I actually kind of picked up those skills from the prompt riddle challenges that I've been doing. Still stuck on level 43, by the way. But in any case, we don't have anything else here. Well, if we go back to the challenge description, we can see that it says, unfortunately, he does not understand Apache. So this challenge is comprised of some sort of Apache file structure. And if that's the case, maybe we have access to the .htaccess file. This is a common challenge that I used to run into a lot early on in my CTF competition life. And what happened was there's an htaccess and sometimes an htpassword file on the Apache system. And if not properly protected, you can actually view those files. The htaccess file is simply just a file that can contain sensitive information or credentials for whatever, for the Apache server. So if we look at .htaccess, we're going to get this interesting file right here. We can see that there's an index_answer.star.htaccess. If we were to take the .answer and replace our .htaccess up here with .answer, since that's clearly indicating a file, it says the answer is easy, just look a little harder. Now this is also another riddle. It's basically saying our password is easy. It's pretty much just a pun to tell us what the password is. So our password for this challenge should be the word easy. Now where do we submit the password? Well, typically there's always an index.php for every challenge. As you can see here, our index page actually took us to our password submission box. Remember, in Apache, you typically always have to have some sort of index.php file. So our password should be easy, and if we submit that, We see that we have a Go On button. Let's click that. And it takes us back to the challenge category page. And with that, we have completed all the basic challenges on Hack This Site. Alright, if you enjoyed the video, drop a like and subscribe to the channel to show your support. Turn on post notifications to get regular injections of cyber content directly into your feed. Check out our Patreon, join our Discord, and follow us on Twitter. Links in the description box down below. And leave any feedback or questions in the comment section down below. This is Almond Milk. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, world.